Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and perform something of a forensic analysis on one of the most psychologically powerful financial scams ever designed. It's called advance fee fraud. And this isn't just some simple trick. It's a masterpiece of manipulation that turns a person's biggest hopes into the very engine of their own financial ruin. It's a machine built from trust, urgency, and a promise that was never real to begin with. Okay, let's dive.
Let's just sit with that for a second. This single sentence, it just perfectly captures the cruel irony at the heart of this fraud. The promise of a huge fortune isn't there to enrich you. It's there to methodically empty your bank account. That life-changing sum of money becomes the very bars of a financial cage. And the most devastating part? It's a cage that the victim, more often than not, helps build themselves, one payment at a time.
All right, to really get how this devastating system works, we're going to follow a very precise roadmap. First, we'll look at the phantom fortune, how scammers literally create this illusion out of thin air. Then we'll expose the validation ruse. This is the sophisticated performance that makes it all feel so real. After that, we'll get into the sunk cost loop, which is the extraction machine at the core of the scam. Then we'll dissect the psychological engine powering it all, before finally, and most importantly, we build the zero payment guardrail, your absolute defense. So how does it all start? Where's that initial point of entry? Well, it begins by hijacking one of the most universal human desires out there, the dream of a life-changing windfall. And let's be clear, this isn't really about greed. It's about exploiting that very human hope for a better future, for some financial security, for that one lucky break that could solve everything. These scammers aren't just con artists. They are expert emotional predators. They know exactly how to target that vulnerability. And make no mistake, this is not some minor issue that affects just a few unlucky people. We are talking about a massive, industrial-scale criminal enterprise. The FBI consistently reports that hundreds of millions of dollars are lost to these schemes every single year, and that's just in the US alone. Think about that. And that's only what gets reported. The real global figure is probably in the billions. Every single one of those dollars represents a life turned upside down, a dream shattered, a retirement fund just gone. The scale is staggering because the psychology behind it is just so brutally effective. And this brings us to the core concept that makes the entire scam possible: phantom riches. This isn't just a catchy phrase. It's a description of a powerful cognitive state. Imagine you get an email. It looks official. It's detailing a multi-million-dollar inheritance. The documents look perfect. The person on the phone sounds professional. Suddenly, the money stops being a possibility and it starts feeling like a reality. You can almost feel it. You start planning what you're going to do. Pay off the mortgage, help the kids. That feeling, that tangible sense of ownership over something that doesn't even exist, that is the state of phantom riches. It's like our brain's emotional center gets so flooded with hope that it just hijacks the part responsible for logic and risk. The question in the victim's mind is no longer, is this real? It becomes, what do I need to do to get my money? Okay, so the seed of hope, the phantom fortune, has been planted. But, a seed can't grow without soil and water. So how do scammers make that seed grow into this unshakable belief? That's where the validation ruse comes in. This is the stagecraft part of the show, where they manufacture credibility completely out of thin air. The initial mechanics are disturbingly systematic. First, there's the targeting and the windfall notification, that email or letter announcing your new fortune. Then boom, right away comes the validation ruse, where they proactively offer what seems like undeniable proof. And as soon as you accept that proof, they introduce the first urgent barrier, a small, totally plausible fee that has to be paid right away to keep things moving. And the proof they use, it can be incredibly convincing. We're not talking about the poorly written emails you might be thinking of. They use high-fidelity, forged documents, bank certificates with watermarks and routing numbers that look completely real, letters on what looks like official government letterhead from a Ministry of Finance, and legal affidavits just covered in official-looking stamps and signatures. They build a fortress of false legitimacy, designed to overwhelm you with what seems like undeniable evidence. And this right here, this is the crucial moment. The second the victim accepts these documents as legitimate, that phantom fortune in their mind solidifies into what feels like a hard asset. It's no longer just a possibility, it becomes their money. It's just temporarily stuck behind some red tape. From this exact point forward, every single decision they make isn't about gaining a fortune, it's about protecting the fortune they believe they already have. The whole psychological frame has shifted. And that powerful belief, that sense of ownership, Well, that's what activates the core mechanic of the scam. We're now entering what's called the sunk cost loop. This is the incremental extraction machine, a process designed with cold, hard precision to pull money from the victim little by little, and so there's absolutely nothing left.
This slide just perfectly illustrates the complete disconnect in perception. The victim is thinking, okay, I've come this far, I paid that first fee, I just need to clear this one last hurdle and the money's mine. Meanwhile, the scammer's strategy is commitment confirmed, hook is set, begin phased extraction. And here's where the manipulation flips. The victim is no longer paying to get money, they're now paying to justify the money, the effort, and the hope they've already invested. This is all powered by one of the most famous cognitive biases there is, the sunk cost fallacy. It's that nagging voice in your head that says, I've already put so much in, I can't back out now, or it'll all be for nothing. Scammers are absolute masters at weaponizing this. They know that once you've paid that first small fee, you are psychologically primed to pay the second and then the third. Not because it's logical, but to protect your initial investment and the decision you make.
And you'll notice, they never ask for a huge sum up front. That would set off alarm bells. Instead, they use a phased extraction. It starts small, maybe a $200 processing fee. Seems plausible. Once you pay that, the next unexpected problem is bigger, requiring a $2,000 tax certificate. Once you're that deep, the fees escalate dramatically for customs clearance, diplomatic pouches, anti-terrorism certificates, you name it. Each payment just makes it psychologically harder to walk away from the last one. It's a spiral of commitment.
And this is the psychological choke point. It's that gut-wrenching moment when a part of the victim's brain starts screaming that something is deeply, deeply wrong. But the weight of the money they've already spent feels too heavy to just abandon. They feel like they're in too deep to stop. The logic is crumbling, the scammer's excuses are getting weirder, but that emotional and financial commitment forces them to push forward, just desperately hoping the next payment will finally be the last one. So what is the underlying engine that makes this trap so brutally and consistently effective? I mean, why do smart, rational people fall for this? Let's take a look at the specific psychological techniques these scammers use to maintain total control and just keep the money flowing. Scammers have a pretty sophisticated toolkit of manipulation. They masterfully use the principle of reciprocity, constantly talking about how hard they're working for you, making late-night calls, dealing with difficult officials. This makes the victim feel obligated to do their part, which, of course, is to pay the fees. They use authority props, sending photos of fake IDs of official-looking offices, using titles like barrister or diplomat. They create a constant crisis environment, making up urgent deadlines and using confusing legal jargon to create panic and stop you from thinking rationally. And crucially, they enforce a silence window. They'll always insist, keep this a secret for security reasons. This only has one purpose, to isolate you from friends or family who would spot the scam in a heartbeat. And this all feeds into another powerful psychological principle: commitment and consistency. As humans, once we make a decision or a commitment, like paying that very first fee, we feel this intense internal pressure to behave consistently with that choice. To do otherwise would be to admit we made a mistake, and that's psychologically painful. The scammer continuously reinforces your initial commitment, making each next payment feel like a consistent, logical step on the path you've already chosen, even when, from the outside, it looks completely irrational. All right, now that we've deconstructed the fraud, let's build our defense. We're going to shift from analysis to application. It's time to create a forensic strategy to protect ourselves and the people we care about. This is what we call the zero payment guardrail. Here's a clear 4-step process to protect yourself. First, learn to recognize the red flags of payout logistics, any story that involves these crazy, convoluted steps to get your money. Second, you're going to apply what we'll call the deduction test. Third, conduct your own quick audit of their documents and their identity. And finally, the most important step of all, you enforce the unbreakable zero payment rule. This question is the single most powerful tool you have. It is a simple, logical question that acts like a circuit breaker for the entire scam. If the millions are real and they're for me, why can't you just deduct any and all fees from that amount and send me what's left? The scammer will have a dozen elaborate, nonsensical excuses: international banking laws, anti-terrorism holds, tax regulations. But listen, there is no legitimate financial or legal reason this can't be done. Their inability to answer this one simple question is your absolute proof that it's a fraud. And this brings us to the ultimate guardrail, the one rule you must never ever break: the zero payment rule.
Real lotteries, real inheritances, real government grants, they will never, under any circumstances, require you to wire money or buy gift cards or pay a fee to a stranger to unlock your funds. Any taxes owed are handled officially with tax authorities after you get the money, never through a wire transfer to some so-called agent.
So let's just summarize the whole system we've just taken apart. Advanced fee fraud is a hope-anchoring extraction system. It uses that psychological concept of phantom riches to get you emotionally invested to the point where your logic just shuts down. It then leverages the sunk cost fallacy and the principle of commitment and consistency to bypass your own financial due diligence and pull payment after payment out of you. Its success relies entirely on creating a false appearance of authority and urgency.
I want to leave you with a protective mantra, something to just burn into your memory. Say it with me. I don't pay to get paid. If it costs me to receive it, I don't need it. Make this your default response to any unexpected windfall. The core protective principle is simple. You never have to pay money to receive legitimate money. Remembering that is the key to keeping your fortune real and phantoms where they belong, in fiction.